everybody, welcome to my channel. I'm Leah Bell. I have decided to do a little tutorial in English. That's not my first language, so please excuse me if I mispronounce some words. I will do my best to be clear. So it's a tutorial for paint reborn with acrylic paint or air dry paint. I use golden paint. This tutorial will be great with any kind of air dry, like Liquitex, or I also use Reborn FX from Macpherson. So you can use any kind of air dry paint that will be almost the same. So the first thing you have to have in hands, it's a kit. You need a reborn kit. This one is Mason by Bountiful Baby. I have stripped him maybe 3 times, so he's a little yellowish, so it's not the best for the first time, but for me that's okay. I'm used to work with any color of vinyl, but usually you will have more neutral kit to work with, so it will be easier. But I will show you how to neutralize a kit, so you can do it. If you have to strip it and it turn out yellow, you will be able to work with it anyway. So I will also paint his belly plate. That's a belly plate that was stripped also, and as you can see, it's a little orange color more than this little guy, so I will have to match color for it. Please excuse my camera, the focus is hard to get. I hope it will be clear. So for the beginning you will need some color of paint. You don't have to buy every color of paint. I use primary color method, so the most color the principal color I use are red. This one is cadmium red. I use different type of blue. I have ultramarine blue, I have phthalo blue, I have this one is cobalt blue, but any kind of blue will work for the primary color. So to begin with, you choose a blue you like. You will need yellow. I use the primary yellow. You can also use yellow ochre. I think I have it, no, I don't have it in golden, but I have it in H&M. It's another brand, yellow ochre. You will need black and white, and color that are fun to work with too are teal for the vein. You may want to use purple, and that. Oh, and brown. Sure, you have raw umber you can use, and you have burnt umber, sienna, burnt sienna you may want to use too. But normally with just the 3 primary color you are able to achieve any kind of color you want. It will really depend on the mix of the 3, but if you are not so comfortable to mix your own color, you can add some burnt umber and purple and those color. You will also need a medium I use a golden matte medium. I really like this one. It does a great job to make the color more translucent, and is not tacky, does not leave a tacky feeling like Liquitex medium. You can use this one too, the Liquitex medium, but I found it really tacky. I don't like the feel. So that's for the medium, and you will need water, preferably distilled water. If you haven't maybe boil some water, but it's better to use distilled water, or if you have a well in the you can use your water. You will maybe like to use retarder like this one for keep the paint more easy to work with without it dry too fast. So that may be a good idea to have some. You will need a sealer like this one. This one is, it's a sealer, it's a sort of a base coat that you will apply on the vinyl to start paint, that will help the paint to adhere on the vinyl. And for the end, when you will have finish your ribbon, you must use a varnish. You can use something like that. Use Deco Art Americana, c'est Ultra Matte Varnish. You have the same brand, the Soft Touch Varnish, that is very good. And sometimes I like to use this one, the Matte Polymer Varnish from Golden. Very nice, very matte. That's it for the paint. Naturally, you will need some brush type, flat brush, more fine brush. You will need not a lot, just some different kind, different size. You will learn what you prefer, and I don't buy expensive brush. You have noticed that's Crayola brush, so I use a dollar store brush. I use makeup brush, any kind of brush you may find that you like to use, that's okay. And you will need some sponge, makeup sponge, like those. They need to be firm. You can also use some sponge like that. You will find what works best for you. I know McPherson sell some great sponge like that. They have big and small size, and they are very good, really firm. So for beginning, you will need some paint palette, maybe some little ball. I use glass ball to mix your color. You may want to buy some little jar like that to keep extra paint. In those containers, they can stay a few weeks with no problem. Or those little jar, you can keep some paint in that for a few weeks before they dry. You will need a bucket to wash your paintbrush. You will need paper towel, that's really important, and maybe something to put on your table, because sometimes you will spread paint. You don't want to mess your table. And that's about that for the beginning, for the thing you will need. Oh, and drying rack. I use, let me show you, I use this kind of drying rack. It's a bottle drying rack. I like this one because I can work 2-3 kits at a time. Very sturdy. So something like that to put your piece to dry. So I will show you how to mix your paint and how to apply your paint, and in future videos I will show you all the detail, the crease and the mottling and things like that. May have 3 or 4 parts, so it's difficult to me to do video those times because I have my children at home with me, so it's really difficult to keep focus and paint and do video. So I will try my best, and it's not easy for me to speak in English. I'm not used to it. I understand very well, I can read, I can write, but for speaking that's a different thing to me. So please be patient with me. So for the first thing you have to do when you receive your kit is to inspect your kit very well. You need to check if they are you found some crack, and the fingers, toes, the elbow. Sorry, you need to inspect for bubbles, and if the kit is great, is okay, and you don't find any defects, major defects, that's fine, you can begin to work with. But sometimes I have noticed that some expensive kits that came from German vinyl or other kind of vinyl than Bountiful Baby, sometimes they have some flaw, and you can't really return them because they are all the same. So you will have to learn to work with some of the flaws you see, but that's not really a big problem. If you notice a really big flaw, that like vinyl cracking or something like that, you can return the kit. Often some supplier will refund you or send you another one, but most of the time just learn to work around like little blue dots and things like that. So when you receive it, you have inspected, you can wash it. You must wash it in warm water with dish soap sorry, dish soap. Brush it, rinse, let dry. I use a clean towel to dry mine. I don't soak them in water. Some people soak them entirely in water. That's not necessary useful. I don't know why, but some people like to do that. I just wash the exterior and dry with the towel, a clean towel. And then after the kit is really washed, you can begin to paint. It's important to wash because there can be some grease on them. People have touched it before they put it in the bags. So that's better to wash them. So this one, like I said, is I just strip it, so yeah, some flaws, some paint that have not come off. So first thing you do, you take your sealer. I have this one too, that I like it. Just a paint adhesion medium work well. If you don't have any primer, any sealer, any primer, you can use a fine layer of varnish, but you better not use anything than varnish. I find that's not very useful to use varnish before. You better with a good primer. So you just, I put it directly on. You can put it on the ball, but put directly on. I take my sponge and I just spread it everywhere. Does not matter how you spread it, just apply it and equally everywhere. If you have some detail, I will show you on the head what to do. So I want to apply it everywhere, but like you see with the sponge, I can't go inside the ear. I have trouble reach the eyes, the lips. Sometimes you have an open mouth and you cannot work with the sponge, so you take a brush and you go with the brush, you go in the crease. Don't forget the nostril. So you will go everywhere with your brush, and you do the same with the hands and feet, to go between the finger, between the toe, beside the knees. Like those kind of ends, that's a bit more difficult. I would just put some in my tray, and you can go in the ends. I use my sponge to remove the excess. Don't want any excess to dry in there. The same with the paint. You don't want any excess. You can use a dry brush like this, a big fluffy brush to pounce the excess in the crease. I often use a makeup brush like that. That works well too. So then, when you have finished to apply the primer on all the kit, you will notice that the first piece you have done is already dry to the touch, and that's the beauty of air dry paint. You can continue working, put a few layers without have to wait. You don't have to put it in the oven and wait for it to cool. So you just, the time you have reached the last piece, the first one must be dry, so you can work until you have enough. I found out that it's better not to put too much layers in a session, because the paint may be dry to the touch, but it takes a few weeks to dry completely and cure. So if you put too much layers in one time, in one day, it may take longer to cure. So it's better to do a few layers, maybe 5, 6, 8, then stop, wait a few days, then continue. That give better result at the end. It's not necessary, but I find it gives more time to paint the paint to cure well. So you are ready for your first layer of paint. I will show you how I prepare my paint. I will show you only one color, but it's exactly the same for all the color. So I take a little bowl, I take my paint. This case I will do the yellow. I will not begin with the yellow one, just want to show you because I have enough blue prepared already and red, so I will just prepare the yellow, but I will not use it already on my kit. It's enough yellow right now. So you will take 1 or 2 drops of paint depending on the quantity you want to prepare. I will put 3 because I have a lot. I need a lot on other kits that I work on now, but you take 1 or 2 drops. I don't really have a fixed ratio. I work with my eyes and by experience, and I find out it's not really important that you have exactly that amount of paint, that amount of medium, that amount of water, because everyone use some different method to measure, and in the end it will give different result for everybody, so that's not really a big thing. So you pick up your medium. I will use about 3 times the amount of paint that I have in my bowl. I will adjust later if I found that I have not enough. So about 3 times. You have one drop, you may want to use about 3 times 1 drop. So for now I have about this quantity. I will just stir. As you can see, it's really bright. If I apply this on my kit, I will stain my kit yellow a big time. I will show you on the paper towel. As you can see, it's not translucent enough to work with. It's really too dark. So I will need to add water in the mix. Water with air dry is it's important to know that the ratio must not be over 25% of the paint. You can if you have a medium that contain benders in it, they have some products in the paint that keep the pigment together. If you add too much water, you will break those particles. I don't know how to say it. You will break it, and then you will have a paint that will not stick well to the vinyl or will fade over time. But the paint with the medium is your quantity of paint. Then you cannot add more than 25%, so a quarter. You can add a little bit more, but preferably do not do that. So I will stir it very well. You see it's already pale. I will test it. Sorry for my dog playing with the kit. So if I put the paint here, you see that it's really more translucent. If you want to test it, you can test it if you have a glass bowl. You see, if I apply, you can see through. That's the color you want. You don't want it this bright, you want it very pale. Don't be afraid to have it pale. Even if in the end you have to put more layers, it's better than have it too concentrate and have to remove it because it will stain. So you don't want it too bright. So now you have your yellow. It's the same for every other color. All the primary color are really pigmented. You need to dilute them more than the brown, for example. It's really important. Those are color that are very strong. So I will just put my mix in there. Then you can adjust the quantity of medium and paint if you want. Like I said, there is no really recipe for the mix. It's just really important that you don't use strong color. I like to prepare most of my color, then I use I can just paint after that, then just mix a little quantity, then have to make some more. That's just me, but you can just prepare a small amount for the kit you work. In the primary method, you will go with layers of red, blue and yellow until you reach the color, the skin tone you want. That's the concept. You don't have to use flesh tone color like this. The reason why I use primary method and not flesh color, it's because I found out that flesh always gave a kind of creamy white finish to the doll, and I don't like it. Some people are very good with it. You can use it if you want, that's not a problem. My technique will be the same if you use just flesh color. But I don't like the result. It's easy for a beginner to mess up with a color that have white in it. You will see the white appear, and that does not look real. You want the transparency of the skin. And with flesh tone, it's difficult in the beginning to adjust the layers to give this translucence. I don't know if I say the word correctly. I hope I am clear. That's not easy to explain in English. I hope I am clear enough. That's because that's why for a beginning I prefer to use the primary color, just that give me the translucence, the transparency, I don't know, of the skin I want. The color I will You will achieve that with mottling. If you do a lot of mottling, different color of mottling, you will achieve a skin tone too. So you will not have to use too much layer of the red, the blue and yellow. You will achieve it really fast with the mottling. And for ethnic or biracial skin tone, you will achieve it really fast too. If you want in biracial and ethnic, you may want to use some brown, maybe burnt umber or raw umber to go faster, but that's about the same process, just a little bit more step to do. So that's it for today. I will stop this video there. I don't want it to be too long, and I'm a bit tired to speak in English. That it's very exhausting when you are not used to it. So I will came later with another part of this video to show you how to neutralize your kit if you need to, and apply the paint over it. I hope this first part help you just to understand the basic of the air dry paint. So I will see you soon. Have a nice day.